Kuhn is the fullback with the first and goal. Kuhn gets the call. Pyle driving his way in for the touchdown. What a great second effort. Here comes the y'all don't really want it like that. Here comes the y'all don't really want it like that. I said so. I keep big bills up in my heart on the dirty like blood. So ain't got no twist in my head, but I'm still dreadful.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to the latest episode of the Fantasy Fullback Dive, brought to you by the good people at the Roto Street Journal, paving your way, acting as your lead blocker to fantasy glory, fantasy excellence, fantasy championships. All your fantasies come true, and it all starts right here. It's the Thursday night preview, but it is also the Week 2 preview. Let's face it, we're not as excited exactly for the Thursday night game that's coming up. Cowboys, Bucs maybe outshines a tiny bit the Washington football team and the Giants. We still love football, and we're still here for you. And Week 2 is a huge week in fantasy. Let's not even undersell it. I, of course, am your host, Nat the Truth Jones. With me, as always, the Wolf of Roto Street himself. Wolf, how'd you do last week? How you doing?
I didn't do great, but Darren Waller did pull a couple wins. Like it was looking like a awful 1-win week. He flipped it to about 500 on the week, which was awesome. Darren Waller, what an absolute man he was. That's why the Monday Night Football is just so fun when you have something like that going for you. Nothing better than that feeling. So it ended up going from a week of pure desperation and hideousness, couldn't even look in the mirror on Monday, to then being a day I could wake up on Tuesday and have just a shred of dignity, which was nice. But my main league, Aaron Rodgers, as anybody that watched the recap show Sunday right after Red Zone saw, Aaron Rodgers is a big fucking huge piece of shit. There's no way around it. And if he doesn't get it done against Detroit this week, I'm going to lose my mind. How did your games turn out, Truth?
Well, I had two. One of which I cared about a lot, and one of which I'm over my head. I don't know. I played you in the Dynasty League, which was just kind of like an afterthought. I didn't even really pay. I did beat you. That's not a precursor to how my season's going to go. I think I'm probably at a 2-12 team. But it felt nice to get one over on you. So that was a win. And then I won big in the league I really care about. So
there you go.
Good start to the season. That team's awesome.
Absolutely.
I really think I could do something. I'm really excited. This is how much I care about fantasy and fantasy football. I'm gonna watch Washington and the Giants. I'm gonna probably watch the whole game.
Exactly. As gross as it is, we're gonna watch. It's football and it's on the TV, and we probably have someone somewhere playing or playing against us. Right. So we got to break it down and we got to get into it.
Right. All right. Well, let's get into it. We're going to start with some injuries in our news roundup, and we're just going to go back and forth here with some of the big headlines. And I'm going to get started.
But before we do, Truth.
Oh, wait. Yeah. Go ahead.
If you don't mind giving this a thumbs up, helping us get out to more people. And as always, any sit-start questions you have, especially if they are for tonight, get them on in. We'll answer them all after the show. It'll be about 45 minutes of injuries, of higher, lower Hail Marys. And then we will get on in to your questions. So let us know what you got, what we can answer for you, and we will be sure to do it. So get those questions on in now, and let's get to those injuries.
All right. And just before we start, our buddy Mitch Chavez, longtime viewer and super fan, says, as a heads up for you, no notifications went out that we were going to be up on YouTube or Facebook or anything like that. So anyway, just letting you know.
I wonder why. I was wondering. It didn't seem like there was that many people out here today, which sucks. But hopefully we can get the crew out there.
Mitch is here.
Yeah, exactly.
And Hillary, who we love.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Perfect. Right. That's all we need.
All right, we're going to get into it. Hopefully, if most of the flock's not there, then they'll find us eventually. Injury news roundup. The Athletic's Dan Duggan reported and said it is, quote unquote, unlikely the Giants will, again, quote unquote, totally unleash Saquon Barkley against Washington in Week 2. Bad scene, right?
And it's unlikely that I would unleash him anywhere in leagues if I had him. No way he could go in lineups yet. I'd much rather see him blow up on my bench and then be ready to use him in the future than to put him in here, watch another 2-point dud. No, thank you. Have him on your bench, folks.
Yeah, I agree.
And then speaking about his backfield trio, Ronald Jones, Fournette, and Bernard. Bruce Arians says they're all starters. How fun is that? A carousel.
Everyone gets a trophy.
Everybody gets a trophy. Everybody's a winner. Nobody's a winner.
If Ronald Jones did what he did last week and put up the stat line he put up last week, would you still call him a starter?
No.
I mean, there's a kid. We're in a league, a bunch of my friends from back home, And we're old enough now where like two of them have kids in the league. And one of the guy's kids started the guy and he had like negative 0.6 fantasy points.
Oh,
those aren't starting numbers.
No.
But I mean, that just tells you to stay away from the Bucs backfield, right?
Yep. No need to touch that backfield. Stay far, far away. They're all the starters. They're none of the starters.
Eric Ebron added to the Steelers injury report. He did not practice recently. I don't consider this much of a story. I mean, you're probably not starting Ebron.
No, you're not, but you might potentially at least stash Pat Freiermuth to see how this guy does in his absence, and potentially he could catch a touchdown. When they're both on there, constant cheese nibbling of each other, but if one is out, you might be able to use him. Will Fuller, absent from Thursday's practice, but shockingly, it's not injury related. It seems like it's a personal matter, and he should still be looking forward to returning, as he said. And intriguing guy in a potential shootout. You know the Bills will put up their points. You could probably have Fuller back into your wide receiver 3 spot this week.
Josh Jacobs, dealing with a toe injury and an ankle injury. He remained sidelines on Thursday. Josh Jacobs is just a guy who I don't think is very good at all. Like nope. But he still probably won a bunch of people their fantasy games last week.
Yeah, 30 yards, but 2 touchdowns. Like, you can't bank on that week to week. And those 2 little touchdowns came pretty late. It was looking like a 3-point dud. So ultimately, yeah, he got it done. You can't keep banking on that, and certainly not when he's healthy, and certainly not against the freaking Steelers this week. Horrible. Put him on your bench. Like, no need to get into the Jacobs.
You said you can't bank on that week to week, but I think the 30 yards is pretty bankable.
Well, right. Pretty bankable there. Everything else, put him on the bench. Marquis Brown remains sidelined, and normally I would have just ignored this one and skipped over it, but 69 yards and a TD on Monday night. He looked pretty damn explosive. I think that would actually hurt some lineups, especially in this Chiefs shootout. They're going to need that firepower. So this one could go down to the wire. He plays Sunday night. Make sure you're tracking us, 11 a.m., that fantasy tailgate. And then post-game tailgate, we'll be able to talk about him as well, me and you, Truth, at 7:30. So keep your eyes peeled for Marquis Brown news.
The Ravens have promoted running back Devontae Freeman from the practice squad. Or offensive coordinator Greg Roman said Baltimore's backfield will continue to, quote-unquote, rotate guys in and out. Wow.
Ew.
Ravens coach John Harbaugh said the team has, quote-unquote, 4 backs in the mix and will, quote-unquote, play all those guys moving forward. Well, I've got a, quote-unquote, response to that. Fantastic.
Yeah, these go to the coaching staff, especially after Tyson Williams looked so damn good in that first half. The offense was clearly playing with more pop. He had a good receiving ability. He saw the most targets of a running back ever under Lamar Jackson, all in the first half. And then he just gets benched because he missed 1 pass blocking time. I get that. I get sending a message, but the fact that they won't give him another chance to earn that role would be sickening. I hope this is just coach speak. I hope they give it to him. He certainly deserves it. And last but not least, Cowboys DN DeMarcus Lawrence is going to be out for 6 to 8 weeks. Already a pathetic defense. Never mind the fact that Randy Gregory also doubtful for week 2. The Chargers should face no type of pass rush against that improved offensive line. Herbert's going to have all day to carve up this team. The over-under went from 52 to 56, and that's because this defense already sucked. They're going to be even worse. Points. Stack that game in DFS. It's going to be beautiful.
Right, and your rankings for the Cowboys actually reflect that. And we're going to get right into our higher, lower, Hail Mary. We're going to start with the quarterbacks. Like we said earlier, if you're watching, give us a like, a heart, whatever you want to give us. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, especially after nobody got the notifications we were live. If you can share out the YouTube link, get some people in here. We're used to last week we had like 45 people. We had about 75 questions. That's what we're hoping for. I don't know why we got fucked today. I guess we got it up a little bit later. But we'd love to have you guys in here. We'd love to have more questions. So if you have fantasy groups or YouTube people you can share this out to, we'd love to grow the audience, answer some more questions. Those of you that are here, though, we'll obviously be able to get to you. But let's continue to plow forward, Truth.
All right, like you said, you're talking about the Cowboys defense sucking, and perhaps not coincidentally, Dak Prescott is the quarterback that you're higher on against the Chargers. You got him as your QB5. That is 3 spots above the experts. I got to say, I watched Dak's game last week against Tampa, as I know you did. He looked good, man.
He did. There's a couple deep balls where the zip seemed to be missing, but ultimately 58 throws led the NFL, so there's no real reservation or hesitation letting this guy uncork it. I think they're going to have to unload it yet again. It's against another great offense in the Chargers. Blow-up game script. I absolutely love it. They played at the fastest pace second fastest paced rather, and they threw it the most in neutral game scripts. That's the Kellen Moore special. I absolutely love it. I think Dak is going to need his points against the Chargers. I love Herbert too. I just love that game, but give me Dak overall in that game. I don't know how he's not top 5 in everybody's QB list this week.
I agree with you wholeheartedly, and it took me a week to be convinced, but I'm all in on him.
Mm-hmm.
Lower, you got Lamar Jackson against KC as your quarterback 9, 4 spots below the experts. I agree with you on that too. Didn't love what I saw out of Lamar. I know it was only week 1. I could see him. I mean, the experts have him at 5. That seems pretty steep to me.
Yeah, it seems very steep to me. I mean, the guy's probably going to lose his left tackle for this week, who already wasn't good. So God forbid, whoever this backup is could be horrendous. He had an easy matchup against that defense over there with the Raiders. Not hard at all, but he only finished as the QB 20 this week. But everybody continues to rank him because of that 2019 season. We haven't seen a good Lamar. We've seen an okay Lamar for 2 seasons, but he gets ranked as if he was still that elite Lamar. Sure, he should still be top 5 or top 10 rather, because of that rushing upside. Still a good bet to find the end zone on the ground every now and again. But QB 20 again last week, I don't know that we should expect drastically better results despite this being a shootout narrative. The Chiefs are more vulnerable on the ground for sure.
There's so many things. I'm just repeating a lot of the stuff you've said that is borne out as far as like not paying for a quarterback in an auction or not reaching for a quarterback. It's like Lamar is probably, I'm going to need to be convinced that he's like a top 5 fantasy quarterback right now. But that's really more of a result of there's so many great quarterbacks. Like I had Matthew Stafford, who I got for $1 in an auction. And he scored 33 points and he was like the 10th highest scoring quarterback in my league.
Right.
Like you can there's a lot of guys that generate points. It seems nuts to reach for anybody, even Mahomes, at this point.
100%.
Hail Mary, Jared Goff at Green Bay. Liked what you saw at Goff last week, huh? Quarterback 27 spots above the experts.
I wouldn't necessarily say I liked so much what I saw from a real-life perspective. The guy still looked pretty damn shitty. What I did like, 57 pass attempts because they were behind so bad. This defense looked equally as bad, if not more atrocious than they were last year when they gave up the most positions to everything. But the Goff ultimately benefited from that. 30 fantasy points was the QB3 and just complete mop-up duty. Garbage time points still count. It kind of reminds me of like crap break Blake Bortles just a few seasons ago. I think it was 2017 where they would just get smoked. But in the fourth quarter, he'd end up putting up like 20 fantasy points because they just kept chucking some more. I think Green Bay, if they have any type of spine, if Aaron Rodgers has any type of sack, they will put up their points against this awful Lions defense. And that means Goff is going to have to chase against a team that just gave up 5 touchdowns to Jameis Winston. Don't be shocked if Goff puts up 3 to 5 of his own. I can see Goff just being a nice like streamer almost every week because of this script.
I don't know, man.
57 pass attempts. I mean, if anybody who's chucking it 57 times is going to have some type of value.
That's true. That's about what Dak chucked it last week. We'll see.
He's the second in the league in pass attempts, and I don't see that defense improving anytime.
Yeah, but okay. So look, he's not Dak, and I'm about to compare myself to an NFL quarterback. So let's just put that out there right now.
Yeah.
If you put me behind an NFL offensive line and threw me in there and said, all right, Truth, we're going to give you 58 pass attempts, it still probably wouldn't go very well, even fantasy-wise.
But Jared Goff's an NFL quarterback that has it.
Yeah, he is barely, but yeah. All right, we'll see what happens. Stash and C, Taylor Heineke tonight, rushing and throwing upside on both of those. I agree.
Yeah, and that's more so for 2 QB leagues, but I kind of want to see what the guy does. He's 1% owned. Super flex leagues, he could be a guy you plug and play. The last time we saw him play a full game, he threw for over 300 yards in a TD. He ran for 46 in another TD. That was against a ferocious Bucs defense in a playoff game. That's pretty impressive. The guy could end up carving out some nice QB2 value with these weapons. I'm excited to see what he looks like. It's one of the very few storylines I'm actually looking forward to tonight is how's this Taylor Heineke guy look? Very intrigued to see what he does. And if he sucks tonight, then you can just drop him ahead of the weekend and pick up another stash and see.
Also, we are getting loads of comments right now. So
here we go. The people are coming back. We're getting the people.
If you build it, they will come.
I love it. We were slow and steady here, but our pack has found us. Even without the alerts, the pack knows. They can smell the wolf is live. It's not a great smell, but they know it.
Right, but it's a very distinct musk.
Distinct.
Right.
Yeah.
Must watch. Will the red rifle crumble and open the door for Justin Fields? I agree with that. I'm interested to see if that'll happen. I'm going to say something that sounds kind of weird right now. I didn't think Andy Dalton looked that terrible in week 1. I just thought they never had a chance.
Because he looked terrible. What about his game didn't look terrible?
I thought he was just under absolute constant pressure. I never look. I wasn't like, hey, I want that guy as my quarterback. I more like felt sorry for him. I was just like, dude, that guy he couldn't do anything.
No, and he never will do anything, and that's why they need Justin Fields.
I agree with you. I completely agree with you. I just think, he's not a mobile quarterback. He wasn't really getting any protection at all. No one was open. The Rams defense is great. I was just like, this guy's going to get killed all game.
And that's part of why that's on here is Cincinnati is not a great defense. They got some pressure on Kirk Cousins throughout the game, but Rifle should have, if he's got any decency, he has the defense to do it against. He's got the revenge game narrative for sure working in his favor. And this is me saying I don't think any of that matters. I think this week especially, you won't have any excuses for your love for the red rifle Andy Dalton.
I don't have any love for Randy
favorite quarterback.
Red
Your love for Peyton Barber. You're the only person in America hoping he staves off Justin Fields at this point. This is all about.
This is just absolute defamation. This is false. All I said is the guy never had a chance, and now all of a sudden it's like I'm having him over for Sunday dinner.
You have a Dalton jersey somewhere back there, but no, this is all about Justin Fields. I could give 2 shits about Andy Dalton and his revenge game, although it would be kind of fun to watch this guy uncork 5 touchdowns against his old team. But with that being said, I don't want that to happen because I want Justin Fields on the field. This guy is a dynamic playmaker. I cannot wait to see what this offense looks like, what Allen Robinson can do, Cole Kmet, all these great weapons. So excited to see if Red Rifle can just suck one more time against a bad defense. That way we get the Justin Fields era upon us.
I think he can do it.
I think he can do it. I think he can pull off sucking really, really bad.
All right, we're going to get into running backs, so change the banner. Now you're higher on, and I love seeing that you're higher on both these guys because I have both of them. Chris Carson against Tennessee, you got him as your RB10, 3 spots higher than the experts. James White at the Jets, RB30, that's 6 spots above the experts. You've got him, it says above Gibson, Zeke, and Montgomery. Is that for James White? That can't be.
No,
James White.
God, no.
It's like, what are you talking about?
No, it's under Carson's name for a reason. And that's what makes this bold. I was kind of getting at the fact that, if you have Carson, you don't really need me pushing you to start him. You're probably playing him anyways. But I wanted to emphasize just how high I am on this guy, particularly for DFS lineups and things of that nature. Tennessee, god-awful. We saw that quite clearly last Sunday. And Carson had all but 2 touches from this backfield, and then Penny got hurt. There's nobody else there. He's going to see at least 20 to 25 carries against one of the worst run Ds in the entire NFL. I think this is the week. We saw everything we wanted to last week. Workhorse usage, moving all over the formation in the passing game, used creatively. Loved what Shane Waldron's play-action-based attack looked like. We just didn't get the touchdowns for Chris Carson, and we got a fumble. I think both of those things flip. He doesn't fumble this week. He scores twice. You get 22 to 25 fantasy points out of this guy, and that's why I'd put him in there above Gibson, Zeke, and Montgomery, who he's below in most ranking sets. James White, is going to kind of go and coincide with my lower. I think James White's the only running back these guys might trust this week because we saw a fumble from Harris very late, horrible, costly fumble. We saw Ramondre Steven earlier get put in the doghouse right away and never reemerge. They might just say, this happens quite often with the Pats. 2 guys fumble, James White comes in, and they just say, let's give this guy, our most sure-handed guy, the full workload. And it's coming against the Jets. We saw, even if they just keep him in that receiving role, as you said, Christian McCaffrey. And now, of course, it's Christian McCaffrey. It's not, we're not going to compare James White to Christian McCaffrey, but he did have.
We just compared me to Andy Dalton or Jared Goff a minute ago.
There you go. True. I guess this is the second worst stretch of the show here, but it's more so the role. The Jets, the way they play it, and this kind of is typical of those salad defenses. They let you get stuff underneath. That's why McCaffrey was running so wide open. I think White could have that 5 to 8 catch upside, maybe find the end zone. And if they make him the workhorse because these other guys fumbled, well, then the upside's even further. So I like White to find the end zone, to catch 4 to 5 balls. I think he's a great flex play. I'm actually putting him in my flex. As of right now, I might change this. I actually want to know your thoughts, Truth. I'm putting him in right now over Javonte Williams.
I agree with that call over Javonte Williams. But if you could just go in the little time machine back, less than a week, I've been banging the drum for James White, from the beginning. I love this guy's potential because the New England backfields in general, hard to trust. I like Harris a lot as a runner. I just trust White more. consistently in fantasy. I really do. And that's reflected in your lower rankings. Like you said, as we go to lower, Damian Harris, you've got against the Jets, you got him as your RB25. That's 8 spots below the experts. Pretty similar to White's rankings, although the experts have them quite a bit spread out. Also, you're down on James Robinson against Denver, RB35, 8 spots down below where the experts rank him. I also agree with that.
Yeah, I mean, Harris won, as we mentioned, the fumble. Mike Reese, one of the best beat writers in the game, came out and said, very real, we could see a reduction in his role this week and just moving forward. He also struggled. They tried to make him a workhorse. They tried to give him 20-plus carries, and he was gassed by the end of the game. That's kind of what they're blaming the fumble on, is the fact that this guy was too tired. I think both of those things are going to land him right into the doghouse. I could see, again, James White out-producing and out-carrying him this week. Maybe, just maybe, and the risk of this is the Jets suck. They're going to get up big early. Like, they're not going to be able to stop the run at all. So if they do forgive Harris quickly and just give him the rock, well, then I might look like a moron. He might blow this ranking out of the water. But that's a big risk, in my opinion. I do not want to bank on that. The last time this happened was Stephen Ridley, and they made him a healthy scratch. I don't think it's going to happen with Damian Harris, but it still is nerve-wracking. I do not want to trust him. And then James Robinson, it seems obvious, but I'm getting a ton of sit starts. Like, do I trust Robinson this week? And my answer is a clear-cut no. No. Why would you? He played behind Carlos Hyde. He saw, 7-8 touches? An awful offense. Urban Meyer is just a joke. What a pathetic team that is.
Here's what I love. Urban Meyer, who I hate and who I wish nothing but bad things upon. I love how after 1 week in the NFL, after everyone's blowing all this smoke up his ass, which I love that now the stories on the ticker on ESPN are like Urban Meyer vehemently denying that he's going to leave to coach USC. This is after 1 week of his NFL career getting embarrassed by the Texans. It's not taken. It's a quick, time span that it didn't take long for him to be exposed as a fucking jackass.
Exactly. And again, that's part of why you should hate pretty much every Jaguar, but especially James Robinson. He got
especially Urban Meyer.
Yeah, exactly. Carlos Hyde outproduced this guy. I don't know how this happened, what happened here, but he never saw lower than 75% of the team's carry share last year. He saw like 40%, below 40% this last week. It's terrifying. It's frightening. He's looking like he's going to be one of the biggest busts of the year, and maybe he has a huge rebound effort. I certainly won't be there to find out, especially against a good Denver run D. If a Denver run D has held Saquon Barkley to 2.3 points, what do you think they're going to do against the shitty-ass Jags backfield? Like, no, don't trust him. Don't trust him.
Just a little thing here. I don't know how much of that Giants-Denver game you saw, but my boy Von Miller looked pretty scary at times.
He's a beast. He's a fucking monster. He's going to be a top 3 fantasy defense all year.
Yep, I agree.
They're beastly. They are
Hail
beastly.
Mary. Here's a guy who's come full circle from when we were working together, and I believe I drafted him in the 3rd round as a wide receiver, and you were pissed because you wanted him.
Yep.
Now Cordell Patterson, 11% owned, is our Hail Mary who plays a little running back for the Bears.
Yeah, and just to play a little.
Oh wait, is it the Bears or is it the Falcons? Who is?
No, he's on the Falcons now.
Okay,
and to play the nostalgia game here. I remember that year, week 1, he had a 99-yard touchdown, like the second play from scrimmage, and everybody was throwing me the kitchen sink. How do I get Cordell Patterson in any leagues that I had him? And I had him in pretty much all the leagues except the one you, quote-unquote, stole him from me. He didn't do anything the rest of the year, like legitimately zero.
I think he had like 2 touchdowns, and they were like 3-yard slants.
It was awful. And it's clear that he's hurt a lot of people because of this, myself included, because I tweeted about him this week. And there's a few stats I want to just run through here real quick for anyone that missed that tweet. He currently leads the Falcons in rushing. He only had 7 carries compared to 15 for Mike Davis. He had 4 runs of 10 or more yards. That's the most in the NFL right now, and he did that on only 7 carries. Now, I'm not saying this is going to happen each and every week, but he looked really good. If you watch the tape back, it wasn't like only draws and he was getting lucky on some broken he hit that hole better.
He's a playmaker. He just can't run routes. So I mean, maybe this is it.
And he ended up catching 2 balls for 13 yards too. So you never know. This is the first team. I know he's seen backfield work with the Pats, with the Bears, but they also had him moving all over the place, learning all these different positions. The Falcons have already said he is a running back. That's the only position he's going to. And it looked like that type of just vision is getting better and better and better. And I don't rule it out. Given how bad they look, that's kind of the argument everyone keeps making is, well, one, Cordell Patterson sucks, which he pretty much has.
I mean, I
get that. He has been pretty bad. But what does that make Mike Davis, who averaged 3.3 yards per carry and looked like a complete slug? And then 2, the Falcons suck. Okay, I get that argument as well. They look probably like the worst team in the NFL.
We're going to have to talk about that. Yeah.
We will. And there's a lot of lowers on here because of that. But that could pan out in Cordell Patterson's favor. Like, what do they have to lose from just giving this guy a potential workload? He had 9 points last week. I'm very intrigued. Even if you don't want to use a Hail Mary on him, he's only 11% rostered right now. I want to see what this guy does moving forward. Again, the leading rusher on this team, the leader in 10-plus yard runs in the NFL when he only had 7 carries. That's worth stashing to me. That's worth finding out, and it's worth a start if you are completely desperate at the position right now.
Well, here, speaking of stash and C's, you got J.J. Taylor, 1% owned, and I'm going to ask the same question that a lot of guys out there are probably asking, which is, who the fuck is J.J. Taylor?
And this guy who goes, the whole running back position is revolved around my Patriots, it seems. He's a Dion Lewis clone. He looked unbelievable throughout the whole preseason. I watched every single game, and this guy was dynamite. He was a healthy scratch last week, but with Damian Harris and Ramondre Stevenson potentially in the doghouse, if they roll out James White and J.J. Taylor, I wouldn't be shocked at all. I don't think they're going to announce it.
I hope it happens so much.
It very well could. And if they do, if he becomes that just guy this week, the way he looked this preseason, he's facing the Jets, I wouldn't be shocked to see this guy go like 80 to 90 yards in a TD if he ends up being the guy. So that's somebody, if you have very deep benches. I mean, you have to have like 15 people benches to end up wanting to stash J.J. Taylor. But if you have nothing left, you just want to stash somebody, I would definitely give this guy a stab, particularly if as we get it towards – this is kind of like being preemptive right now. This would be also a smash play if rumors emerge that Damian Harris is clearly in the doghouse and J.J. Taylor might be getting some extended run. If you see something like that pop up on Saturday, he is talented. I'm telling you right now, you want to go smash that because if he blows up, that's exactly why Dion Lewis became a thing. Stephen Ridley hit the doghouse, and nobody even knew who Dion Lewis was. But he got an extended workload, and then he became like the number 7 running back in fantasy that year.
Yeah.
You remember that?
I do remember that.
Like, that could happen. That could happen with J.J. Taylor. It could. It probably won't, but it could.
This is like superheroes. You're breaking down like the origin story of various guys. You want to hear the origin story of Dion Lewis? Well, here you go, kids. Here it is. Once upon a time, Stephen Ridley was being a bitch. So anyway. All right, must watch. Can Derrick Henry, Aaron Jones, and Najee Harris rebound after brutal week ones? Yeah, I'm genuinely interested in all of those things. What do you think about all 3 of them? I mean, I really like Najee to rebound, I have to say. But I don't know. We loved his workload and stuff, but remember we said we didn't really think he popped or anything. And
that's where I watched it back and was like, am I missing something? And honestly, no. Like, he did not look.
We were right. He
didn't look anything special. His workload did, as we said, 100% of the snaps, 100% of the touches. And that might be all that matters because mediocre backs on big volume have been top 5 fantasy guys. I do think it turns around for all 3 of these, particularly Aaron Jones against Detroit this week. If it doesn't, and this kind of goes out for all Packers, I have them like scattered throughout the must-watch list. If Rodgers, if Aaron Jones, if Devontae Adams, if Tunyon, for God's sake, if these guys can't rebound against the Lions, then you smash the panic button. We said we were like a 4, if I'm not mistaken. Like, we're not panicking. It was one crap game. But if Rodgers is that crappy that he can't get it done against the Lions, then it's a 10. Like, this is a week to smash the panic button. If it does, like, if you get 11 lines, you're not going to get done against anybody. So this is a big one. This is a big one for them. And I think Henry rebounds. But again, like, we said this in the preseason, there's one thing that could fuck this Titans team offense up. It's Todd Downing. It's an awful play caller who fucked up a beautiful system in Oakland. And it looks like he might be dismantling a beautiful Titan situation. So I'm really nervous. Like, I am, as you said about him on Sunday, I'm getting ready to hit that panic button if he has another bad week, for sure.
What a job that would be to have in the NFL. Like, you're just a professional. You kind of headhunters look at try to get you to just go dismantle really good, efficient offensive systems.
Right.
Hey, this is a pretty good offensive system. I want you to take this apart inside of a year. I'm like, done.
Exactly. It's done. Don't worry. Todd Downing here for
$2 million, and I will destroy your offense. And then I will go on to another team, and I will destroy their offense as well. I'm the best. I'm the best.
Pay top 1% salary in the country to ruin a Derrick Henry, Julio Jones, A.J. Brown, and efficient Tannehill offense. What an absolute joke.
And by the best, I mean the worst.
Yes,
all right.
Absolutely.
Wide receivers, higher. And I love this too because I got him. Antonio Brown facing the Falcons. Wide receiver 19, 4 spots above the experts. I'm honestly surprised you and the experts aren't a little bit higher on him even than that. Jamar Chase at the Bears, wide receiver 21, 5 spots above the experts. Man, he looked pretty good in his game, that's for sure. Oh, yeah. Marquez Callaway, this should be interesting. Going up, is that Carolina they're going up against?
Yep.
It says CR. I didn't know what that was. 6 spots above the experts. Love Callaway. Got him on my bench. Didn't love what he did last week. I'm pulling for all 3 of these guys.
Absolutely. Antonio Brown, quite easy to love after what we saw. He runs the routes that Brady loves the most. He gets the most separation of these guys. The rub routes, it can go deep. I mean, he might end up going down as the most valuable wide receiver on the Bucs. And we mentioned that as a possibility last week. He was last week. He did only play 60-something% of the snaps, but guess what? Against the Falcons, he's not going to need more than 60% of the snaps, and his role might continue to evolve. So I love AB, love what he does, love his role with Brady. And he did look – so often we hear this hype that doesn't pan out. He did look like he was the AB of old. Like he genuinely was separating that insanely. Loved what I saw from Jamar Chase as well. I think he maybe 21 might be too low for this guy. He looked every bit the alpha he was in college. Him and Burrow still had that rapport. If you bought that dip during all the drops and all the can't separate, like the can't separate hype is the best because how many times was he just running wide open on Sunday? He is insane. This is against a Chicago defense that got murdered by Stafford, as you saw firsthand. He's going to have no problem roasting anybody on that defense. I think he's going to smash it. I can't believe he's not closer to the top 20 by every expert. He is the alpha that's how he should be ranked. I think I should be higher now the more I talk about him. But I did want to throw in Callaway too because those 2 guys, like if you have them, there's a 90% chance they're in your lineup unless you are dead stacked at wide receiver. Callaway is one of those ones people might be more on the fence for. And I'm here saying last week, I was lower. I said bench him. Even at 3,400 on DraftKings, I was fading him everywhere. That's Jair Alexander. He was shutting down everybody he faced way better than Marquez Callaway. Allen Robinson, number ones all over the place, would do nothing against him. I'm not surprised Callaway got shut down. They didn't even look at him. That's probably the game plan specific by Sean Payton. I think this is the week we see that Marquez Callaway we saw in the preseason, the 2 touchdowns and 150 yards in the first half. Wouldn't be shocked if he does that over the course of this game. He is explosive. He was the clear number 1 throughout camp. I think a lot of people overreacting to one bad week, not recognizing just how elite Jair Alexander was. He might have even been running open a few times. I think they legitimately said, don't even bother. You're the decoy this week. And clearly it worked out for him. So they didn't have to look at him at all. I think that changes this week in a big way, and Callaway blows up.
Something about AB all the more impressive. And this seemed impressive to me during the draft too. For instance, in my auction, Mike Evans went for $28. Chris Godwin went for $21. I got AB for $4.
Oh, I love it. And that's just like insane, but yeah, that's awesome.
Well, I mean, it just seemed like it's like, God, even if AB is the 3rd best, which I don't think he is, that's crazy. That's just an absolute steal.
A good AB story for you real quick is last Thursday night, I had Evans and I was facing AB. AB was already slapping me around. I think he already had like 15 points in the first quarter. It's like, fuck, I need to change the juju. So I drove over to Alex's house, my brother. I'm in the car and you just hear, as I pulled up to his house, I pull in and you just hear, oh, he's wide open. Oh my God, a 40-yard bomb. And it connects. And I'm like, yes, this is Mike Evans. Finally, I am right.
It was AB.
Antonio Brown. And I just literally was like, I'm dead. I'm already dead. And I was dead. I didn't win that week. But he's damn good. That just reminds you of how like that throw from Brady too was unbelievable. It's beautiful.
You would agree that maybe 4 years ago he was the best wide receiver in the NFL, right?
Yeah. Oh, he was. And he doesn't look that far off from that receiver right now.
Right. All right, let's go to lowers. This one breaks my heart because this was the receiver I spent the most money on, Calvin Ridley. I got him for like $34, which you agreed was a steal. And you got him going against Tampa, wide receiver 13, 6 below the experts. Also, you have Chase Claypool, a little lower than the actually a lot lower than the experts playing the Raiders. You got him as your wide receiver 35, 8 below the experts, and then DJ Moore again. The Falcons, good God, they suck.
Yep, and that's all this is. It's not Calvin.
Is Ridley going to suck all year?
I don't think so.
Did I spend $34 on like the wide receiver 20?
No, I think he's going to get it okay. I just don't know that it's going to happen this week because Tampa Bay has a pretty good defense. Yeah, I don't actually. I need to follow up on did that corner that got hurt from them last week. Is he still hurt? Because if so, we saw like they were playing pretty good defense, pretty good coverage. And then when that guy got hurt, I forget it was a bunting maybe, whatever. The coverage shifted and they couldn't stop anybody other than the number ones over there. So Calvin Ridley could blow up. It's just Matt Ryan looked horrible. This offense looked horrible. What I don't get, and you texted me, maybe you jinxed him at the beginning. That first drive, it was like 5 targets. He's wide open, no huddle. They pound it down the field. And you're like, this Arthur Smith offense, right from the Titans, right into this Falcons, injected into my veins. I'm loving it.
That was like 90% of his production for the entire game, though.
Awful, right? After that, I think you texted me, Ridley is a vacuum or something.
He was. They were throwing him everything, and he was catching everything. I was just like, man, this was the most savvy investment I made all season.
Right? And then so that could happen. I mean, if any smart coach looks at the tape and sees that first drive, they should probably go to that well quite often. I just don't know what to think of this. I think Matt Ryan looked shitty. I think the line looked even worse. I think Tampa Bay has a very good defense. I don't know that this team scores more than 12 points this week, and that makes me nervous for Ridley and really everybody on this offense. I'm hoping Arthur Smith surprises us because I do believe in the guy, but I also don't know what happened against a mediocre Philly defense. Like, I think Tampa Bay is a lot better of a defense, so I'm worried. Didn't
Kyle Pitts look small to you?
He played kind of small, but
I mean, he didn't look as big as I had him built up in my mind. Right. He just kind of looked like a guy.
He did look kind of like a guy. I mean, in terms of the other guys, Claypool, I just think the Steelers team, now that Najee's there, we saw them really try to establish that balance. That's what we were worried about for these 3 receivers. To me, it's really only Deontay Johnson week to week that I'm going to trust. Yeah, Claypool will have his huge touchdown days. He had a nice 25-yard rush. Like, cool. And I think the Raiders obviously are a burnable defense down deep. But I don't want to trust this guy week to week. I don't really trust him. I don't trust Juju. They both finished outside the top 50 wide receivers last week. It's nerve-wracking. I think Najee Harris, they led the league in pass attempts last year. I think, as we said, what we thought was going to happen is it's going to be a lot more balance to this offense, and it's exactly how it played out. So Claypool and Juju are on notice at this point. I don't want to have either of them in my lineup. And then there's DJ Moore. It's too easy, so I don't want to do it every single week. And he'll prove me wrong 3 times.
Jumping on DJ Moore, Wolf.
It's just too easy, and he'll prove me wrong, and maybe it will be as early as this week, 3 times this year, but I will put him on the lower list every single week this year, and I'll be right 12 out of 16 times. Like that's how it goes with DJ Moore.
I like those odds.
Exactly, and I'll play him if I have him, most likely, but Terrace Marshall is going to make him even that much more inconsistent. Last week was proof of that.
Hail Marys, you got KJ Hamler, 6% owned at Jacksonville, 13 spots above the experts. You think he's going to go deep and he can swing weeks, boomer bust guy. You've got him ahead of Mooney, Aguilar, and Pittman. You also like Cedric Wilson at the Chargers, 19 spots above the experts.
Yeah, Hamler, let's start with him. 99th percentile of 40, 4.32 speed. Caught, a 50-yard bomb. Should have had a 50-yard bomb, rather, last week. He dropped it, so I guess that's the risk. Is like
that's why he's a Hail Mary and not a higher. That's why he's a
Hail Mary. But we saw in the preseason, on 3 catches, had 120 yards and 2 touchdowns. I mean, the guy is explosive as all hell. Judy is hurt, and they've now claimed he's going to be a starter alongside Tim Patrick and alongside Cortland Sutton. This guy is an absolute lid lifter. He's facing a Jacksonville defense that got destroyed deep by Brandon Cooks routinely. I think Hamler's going to smash. Like, I would love owning him and putting him in my lineup. I think I'm even low, being 13 spots higher than the ECR on this guy. And at 6% owned, we're going to all be scrambling to get him on the waiver wire if he's not gone already. He's gone in all my leagues, sadly. I absolutely love KJ Hamler as a player, and I especially love him this week against an abysmal Jacksonville secondary. And then Cedric Wilson, it's just more so a bet on Dak as my QB higher in a game that's going to be a shootout. They've already said, if there's no question, he's the third receiver. He's going to play the Michael Gallup role. He's going to run every single route Michael Gallup runs. So if you liked what Gallup did, yeah, Gallup's more talented than Cedric Wilson, but every time he's been called upon, Wilson has impressed as well. So I think against the Chargers in a shootout game at 1% owned, if you're desperate for a flex plug-in and Hamler's gone, I think Wilson could have a nice day too. So I really like both of those guys.
Stash and C, Gabriel Davis, 7% owned, and also Van Jefferson, 6% owned. He was the recipient of that first Matthew Stafford long bomb touchdown. Stafford looked great. I know I mentioned him earlier. When I saw that he threw like a 70-yard touchdown to start, I was like, ooh, was it Kupp? Was it Woods? Maybe Higbee on like a whatever, like wheel route that nobody saw coming. Nope, Van Jefferson.
Yeah, and this is more so a bet on, like, not a bet, but if anything happens to a receiver in front of either of these guys, you're suddenly ascending to a top 3 wide receiver role in a pass, obsessed attack with a great quarterback. Either one of these guys would be a weekly top 30 receiver if that happens. So why not stash him and see what happens? I'm not wishing injury upon anybody, but it does happen. Like Van Jefferson might be the most valuable wide receiver handcuff in the league, and they both might also have benefits. And we saw Jefferson get deep. We saw Davis get deep for a touchdown. They both scored. So I think they're both worth rostering because they bring some upside as is. And if anything ever happened to the guy in front of him, there's not very rarely you find like a wide receiver handcuff, and certainly a wide receiver handcuff with benefits. Both of these guys fit that bill. So both of those guys, I'd stash Cordell Patterson ahead of either of them because I'm just very intrigued to see what he does. But I also think if you have some roster space, both of these guys make sense to stash.
Let me ask you a question. How big is your bench in most of your leagues? Because, man, you come up with guys that we should stash, and I want to, but my bench is packed, dude.
Yeah.
I think I have 6 spots, I think.
I think I have 6 plus an IR. So in most
we have IR also.
Yeah, I'm not owning most of these guys. Like these are just, again, for the very deep rosters. I have a few teams that have 8 to 10 really deep style rosters. That's where it's more so these guys are coming into play. But there are some leagues where you just have trash or you have injuries and you need to cut somebody. It's worth seeing. I guess and stash and see this early in the year often means put them on your watch list because as you're saying, these aren't guys that are going to need to be rostered quite yet. But you know how it goes as the season goes. There's going to be injuries.
You're getting me all excited.
Right.
You get me all excited. You're like, everybody should own KJ Hamler. I wish I owned KJ Hamler. And I'm
really
well, shit. I want to own KJ Hamler now. The Wolves convinced me I want him. And then I look at my roster and I'm like, well, I can't drop Mike Williams.
No.
Guy. I can't. I don't want to drop Trey Lance. So
no, and you got to keep Trey Lance ahead of him. Right.
Right. So, then I'm just like, shit, I'm missing out on the fun.
Yeah. Anyway, I think Hamler is going to be real fun for whatever it's worth.
I think he is too. Like I said, you're a great salesman. Must watch. Broncos, the target share without Judy is Sutton and Alpha. I'm going to say yes.
I think he is too. He has been in the past. He didn't fit the bill last week, but he had James Bradbury, one of the best shadow corners. One of the reasons I'm a little bit nervous about Terry McLaurin tonight, all over him all game. He's going to need to be an alpha for this team, but I also want to see, how does Tim Patrick look? Very reliable last year, more 100-yard gains than Judy. And how does, as we already talked about, KJ Hamler, is he going to see a little bump in higher percentage looks in addition to stretching the field? I just want to see what this looks like. I also have Noah Fant as a must-watch later in the tight end one. Anytime an alpha like Jerry Jeudy, who looked like he was definitely 7
he looked like an alpha
targets in the first half, like he was going to be an absolute monster. I hope he comes back healthy in a few weeks here, and I think they're saying 6 weeks is the most likely outcome. But that being said, for these next 6 weeks, who's it going to be? How's it going to look? That kind of becomes the de facto number one storyline, number one must-watch anytime a big alpha like that goes down.
All right, let's move on to tight ends. Guy you're higher on, and a guy we were talking before the pod even started. This is a guy that, of all the people in the NFL, we think there was maybe one guy that the Wolf whiffed on. I don't think he whiffed on anybody else. I think the guys that blew up so far, he had shares in. He was saying good stuff about. This guy, he didn't have anything really nice to say about. And I'm not calling him out because I didn't really either. Gronk, the guy that everybody thinks is on this show with you right now, going against Atlanta. You got him as your tight end 5, 4 spots above the experts. Think about that. Even the experts have him at 9 at this point. What was he, your tight end 20 or something at the beginning of the year?
Tight end 19. You're very close, yeah.
Okay.
I had nothing. I have no investment in him. And I don't blame myself necessarily because last year's Gronk is not this year's Gronk. He was laboring around last year. He still had some little red zone chemistry and a couple pop-ups here and there. Gronk this week, last week rather, he looked like the Gronk of old. He was making one-handed catches. He was bursting up the seams. He was running with a gear that we didn't see last year, running with a gear as a Patriots fan I know all too well. He was catching balls in traffic. He was going down Brady just – it was literally, as a Patriots fan, just watching this guy as if it was Brady to Gronk 5 years ago. It looked unbelievable.
Well, remember, we saw it in the Super Bowl too.
Yeah, but even then,
this was different. I admit, week 1 was different.
Faster.
This was a dominant performance.
This was Gronk of old, and honestly, it didn't look like it was unsustainable. He played, and the difference was last year he was kind of in a rotation.
How old is he? 30?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, I don't know exactly.
He's not he's like your age. He's not.
He's old. 30, 32 or something of that nature. Yeah. But the thing with it too, in addition to like just looking way better, the coaching staff clearly thinks the same because he was about a half and half snap player. Cameron Brate working in, things of that nature. He played, I think it was 75 to 80% of the snaps this last week. And yes, compared to the old Patriots, like, yes, they both looked like that Patriots of old. He has far more targets to contend with. He used to be the number one. He might be number 3, 4 on the target totem pole at this point. But even still, I think Brady's going to go for records this year. I think Brady, it just looked like an offense that's going to be insane. And when you give Brady 18 games, like, he knows it's like one of his swan songs. This is the best weapons core he's probably ever had. I wouldn't be shocked to see Brady go for like 5,500. Like it was insane. And Gronk's going to be a huge part of that. He faces Atlanta. Like what else needs to be said? I don't know how the experts don't have this guy in their top 5. It makes no sense.
It's really hard for me to full on pull for Tom Brady and the Bucs. And yet at the same time, like I can't look away. Like I want to watch it, and I'm secretly just hoping that they're scoring like video game points all the time. And even though I pulled against this guy my entire career, and I'm just like, ooh, I hope he throws an 80-yard touchdown. I'm like, what am I thinking? Why do I want that? But I kind of do. I
think you're not alone there. I think the Bucs, Tom Brady is a lot more root worthy for like the more common fans because there just was such a annoying dynasty by the Patriots for so long for everybody other than myself. So yeah, I get what you're saying there. Oh, we got 51 questions. We got to get to that mailbag.
All right. Lower. Mark Andrews versus KC. You got him as your tight end 8. That's 3 spots below the experts.
Yeah. My buddy Joe Ballway, a good fantasy mind, texted me after the Monday night game. I had Waller. He had Andrews with a 20-point lead. I think I had to pull that one out. And he just goes, is Mark Andrews this year Zach Ertz? Like, remember there was just that, like, Zach Ertz was so dominant. And
yeah, I remember it because it's the year that I made fun of you guys. I have made fun of Jimbo Slice and you guys for being up his ass for like 4 years. And then finally I was like, you know what? I'm tired of looking like an idiot. I'm going to draft Zach Ertz. And then I looked like twice the idiot I looked like before because he sucked ass. Yes, I remember it.
Exactly. That's how it goes with all these types of players. And he's certainly not at the age Zach Ertz was when he fell off the cliff. He was running around okay on Monday Night Football. But I don't think I think Lamar, I'm worried this guy's figured out at this point. And I don't think Andrews is looking all that special either. So to me, the Gronk is a very, very easy guy to rank ahead of Mark Andrews. Sure, they're going to need their points. Sure, they're going to need some weapons. But Kansas City, they're a better defense. And I don't think Andrews is all that worth start. Like tight end 8, okay, you're probably starting him if you have him, but still, I think people are way too high on him.
I would start Higbee over him.
I thought about ranking him that way, and I might still.
I liked what I saw at Higbee. All right, Hail Mary, Jared Cook against Dallas. Jared Cook sighting, nice.
Yeah,
30% owned, blow up spot maybe.
It's again that game we keep coming back to it. Dallas versus the Chargers. They're going to hit 60-something points, in my opinion. And Jared Cook saw 8 targets. Donald Parham gets all this hype as the more athletic guy, but Cook did not look like he lost a step at all. He played almost every single snap, and he saw all the tight end targets. Like, I'm in. I love Jared Cook. I've been high on him all preseason, and he showed exactly why, without scoring a touchdown, had a solid 9 points. And I think against Dallas, we just saw what Gronk did to this team. Like, Gronk's better than Cook, the way that Gronk looked at least, but Cook could easily find the end zone this week.
Stash and see. Juwan Johnson again. He's now up to 30% owned, right? We've got a larger percent owning the guy, but he's still worth the risk, you're saying.
Yeah, he was 10% owned when we recommended last week. I think he should keep climbing until he's over 0.5% owned now. He only saw 3 targets. That's kind of scary. Troutman saw more targets, played more snaps. I get all that narrative. But when you score 2 touchdowns on your 3 targets, and like a lot of people, that's a fluke, you can't chase the touchdowns. But they were dialing him up. It wasn't just like Winston was looking in at a broken play. It was fades to this guy. And this goes with what Nick Underhill was saying. This guy is dominating. He's going to play the receiving tight end. And Troutman, he ran more routes. He saw more targets. Well, Troutman finished for 3 for fucking 19 on all these
3 for 19, folks.
Like that, there's like, I like to chase volume and follow those narratives. And then I also like to see fucking production. And Juwan Johnson's the one that's actually producing here. So I like to watch him again. He's got wide receiver, tight end eligibility. And if he continues to outproduce Troutman like this, there's a chance that snap and routes and all that flips on the dime, because it's not like Troutman's looking this great that he has to hold the stranglehold. Juwan Johnson looks better. I think eventually that flips, and I want to keep holding this guy and see when that happens for sure.
Yeah, but for those of you in a snap count league, Troutman's your man.
Oh, he's great. Yeah, great snap count league guy.
I wonder if that's a thing.
Right.
I know there's such thing as a bad quarterback league. That's intriguing also.
Yeah.
Must watch, Gronk, Andrews, all intriguing. But can Noah Fant, already a huge role last week, elevate his game without Judy? And can we see a Tanyan rebound? I'll tell you about Noah Fant. I like him. I really like him a lot. I have him in our Dynasty League. And, although I really am bummed about what happened to Jerry Judy, it's probably only going to help Fant's production.
Yeah, I think Noah is going to have a big day. It's just similar to the wide receivers. How does this target share go out? He was right around 20% target share last week. I think that's going to be intriguing to watch. As we mentioned, does Gronk still look as dynamite? Does Andrews still look as shitty? Both important, but also the Packers. Again, Packers. Are they going to rebound? And that wraps it up. We have 54 questions. So we need to hit that mailbag.
We're sorry that we were all like, oh, man, nobody's here. I guess.
No, but this is right where we usually wrap up. So this is perfect. Thank you guys again. I'm going to hit that mailbag icon. But as I do, thumbs up.
Give us a couple more likes.
That are here. Get us a couple likes. Get us out to more people. Share this on out. And here we are, ready for the Had to do it. And let's,
sure.
Oh man, we do have a shitload of questions. Let's go, folks.
All right, Mitch was the guy he was the whistleblower. Hillary Margaret, we always love Hillary. Go Giants. Ha ha ha, she has. Yeah. Ben Tomzik, sup boys. Hold on. Turned one of my coworkers on to you this week, and he's hooked. I had a similar experience this week. We appreciate it. I have a crazy idea in my head for some reason. Sit Terry tonight, move Mike Williams into wide receiver, and flex Elijah Mitchell, sorry. PPR, feel free to smack some sense into my stupid brain. What do you think? Do you like Mike Williams and Elijah Mitchell over Terry?
Look, I don't rank them that way. And I don't want to slap you at all, Ben. I love you. And thanks for turning someone else new to us. But he is seeing James Bradbury. He's playing with Tyler Haneke, which is, who knows how that's going to play out. There's plenty of ammunition to do that move and trust your gut. I'm not here saying I have to slap sense in you. If I'm in your shoes, I'm probably putting Terry in because Terry's just that damn good. But
and you want to watch somebody on Thursday Night Football.
And you get some Thursday night action, right? But it's less about Mike Williams. Like if that was it, just Mike Williams or Terry, I might say just fucking go for it. Like 12 targets last week for Williams, that X receiver role, and now getting the Dallas just Candyland shootout narrative. I'm less confident in Elijah Mitchell though. That backfield is such a sickening mess. Like you never know what's going to happen there. So Ben, like I'm not sitting here saying you have to, if you're feeling it in your gut, go for it. I don't trust Mitchell enough to do that. But if you do, if you're feeling good in your gut about Elijah Mitchell, I'm not going to slap you. If you need to be slapped, I'm going to slap you. This is one with James Bradbury. This is a tough one. So I wouldn't do it, but I can see where you're coming from.
Did you buy any Elijah Mitchell stock this week?
I got him for $29 in my Holy Cross League, which I saw him go for 70. Dave Mock, you fucking moron, in my league. He was going for 50 to 60 everywhere.
I got him. I paid $45 for him.
And that's okay, but still, I think that's a little rich.
I think it's rich. I have holes at the running back position. Everywhere else I'm good. I thought, how many lottery tickets like this am I going to get a chance at? I'm going to take a chance.
And I see that logic. To me, it's like Elijah Mitchell is the exact reason why you shouldn't be bidding high on Elijah Mitchell, because that Elijah Mitchell could emerge every single week from that backfield. It's nerve-wracking, but if he gets it down, I mean, Steve Slate, we've seen this happen with Shanahan where he finds a guy, latches on, and they become league winners. Could it happen? I give it a 10% chance. And that's kind of worth a $40 shot. Like, why not?
I give it like a 20% chance, but it's still admittedly not a great chance. But I mean, I saw somebody go and buy Le'Veon Bell for $25 and then drop him a few days later.
Yeah,
right.
That's hideous.
I like my move better.
I like the play. Like I like going for a guy.
You're an upside chaser, and I'm chasing upside. I'm chasing an RB1. All right, but I hear you. Mitch Chavez, do I start Shepard tonight over flexing Edmonds or Damian Harris?
I would probably go with Edmonds. I like the matchup. I like this offense. I loved his role in it. And if the game stays tighter, you're going to even get a better one. So I go Edmonds. I mean, Shepard did lead the team in yards, targets, everything. He looked good. But Washington's, I think, a pretty good defense. I don't know. I don't feel great about Shepard, Mitch. I don't. If you feel it in your gut, go for it. But I'm going to go Edmonds on that list.
Denny Jennings, RSJ staple, fantasy fullback dive, super fan. A guy in my league dropped $125 on Eli Mitchell at a 165. I got Gainwell for $1. Denny, that's what we call in the business a value play.
That is a huge value pay. I love Gainwell for $1. If anything happens to Sanders, this guy's going to be a monster. I'm hoping it doesn't. Sanders is like my anchor running back too right now. But man, I think Gainwell for $1. I love that. I absolutely love that play.
Hillary Margaret, go Eagles.
Teddy Jennings talking shit. I like it.
I love that Hill's getting, her name dropped on the podcast a decent amount.
Yes.
EK Pugh, 28. Hey, Wolf, you think Cortland Sutton or Brandon Cooks to start at flex? Pull PPR. That's interesting.
That's a really tough one. I think the Texans are going to get exposed this week. I think
you think the Texans are going to get exposed?
Yeah, but yeah, right. But I think the Browns defense is better than they showed. They were facing Kansas City, and I think the freaking Texans offense is a whole lot worse than what they showed. I think I'm going to go with Alpha Sutton. I have Sutton 31 and Cooks 29. I'm going to flip that in my rankings, though. Now that I'm looking at it, if somebody asked me that question, my first gut reaction was Sutton.
Sutton.
This happened to me on the Sunday show last week, though. People kept asking me about Cooks. I was like, I have him at 25. Why? And I kept bumping him down and down and down on my rankings because I kept answering the other guy. And then Cooks had 150.
He's good.
Like, he's a great player, and he's got a good rapport. But I don't think they're going to do anything against Cleveland. If they do, this is a good measuring stick. It's kind of like the opposite of the Packers. The Packers looked so shitty, and they had to get the easiest matchup to flip it around. The Texans looked amazing. They get a very tough matchup. Both of those are pretty good measuring sticks, in my opinion. But I would go Sutton myself.
I love that the headline in the Hot Take Times this week is Texans will be exposed.
Yeah, right. Exactly. What do you think of that one? What do you think of that one, Drew? Sutton versus Cooks.
I like Sutton.
Yeah, I do too. I'm going.
But I think they're both good plays. I really
they
do.
Are.
Daniel Hallen, pick one: Boyd or Aguilar. Also, Gesicki or Conklin.
Not great, Howland.
I know. I kind of froze once I started having to pick.
Yeah. I like Boyd because the Bears gave up a ton to Cooper Kupp out of the slot, and I know Kupp's a better player, a higher volume target than Boyd.
Boyd got dropped in my hometown league.
Wow, that's pretty bold. This will be if he sucks again in a pretty good matchup this weekend. I think he will be droppable, but I want to give that one yet another week. Aguilar against the Jets is intriguing for the deep ball, but I'm going to go Boyd, and I'm going to go back to Gesicki. I know it was an awful game last week, but Conklin. I don't know. I'm going Boyd and Gesicki, but I don't feel great about any of those.
How many people do you think started Gesicki and Brandon Ayuk?
Yeah, a lot of people were burned by Gesicki. He sucks.
I did.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Hill. Mitchell Chavez was offered a trade of Hunter Henry, CeeDee Lamb, Chris Carson for Mike Davis, Corey Davis, and Kittle. I have Higbee as a backup tight end. That's a pretty solid backup. Carson would be my RB2, and I have a 3 wide receiver lineup of Adams, Diggs, and Lamb if I take it.
There's a lot going on.
I know. I'm trying to process, Mitch.
I love Chris Carson.
Me too.
I think Higbee's a pretty solid backup here. You're winning in the running back battle by a mile. You're winning the receiver battle. As good as Davis is, your Lamb's a significant upgrade there. And so you already have Higbee to fall back on. I don't know that losing Kittle is that big of a deal because we saw it's a run-heavy offense. He's going to have some big weeks. He's going to have some disappearing acts. He's kind of like a better version of your standard tight end. And so I like that. I would take that. I'd get the Carson, Lamb, and Henry side. I like, especially if you have Higbee there and you need the running back too. Like Davis right now is your running back too. That's sketchy. Hell, I would go with this one for sure.
I would go with it too.
Lamb. Think about Lamb being your receiver 3 right now. That's fucking amazing.
I'd go with it too, and that's with me thinking Hunter Henry's total garbage.
And he is, yeah. Henry, just toss him out. He's not. He doesn't matter if he's
drop him.
Essentially Lamb and Carson for Davis, Kittle, and Henry, and I like it. I think Davis is used. Mike Davis,
and he's got Higbee as his tight end too. That's great.
Right. I like that. I do that, Mitch.
Cody Hoxie, Deontay Johnson, AB, AJ Brown, or Justin Jefferson. Pick 3 of them. So we're leaving one guy out. I feel like I'm going to be asking this question a lot. It's 4 really good options for me. I would definitely start Brown and Brown.
You're not benching Justin Jefferson. You're benching Johnson.
I mean, Johnson is the guy I would probably bench.
Jefferson?
Okay,
come on.
Look, I would bench Johnson. He's the guy I would bench. But I told you at the beginning of the season that I wasn't as crazy gaga over Justin Jefferson as everybody else was. So that's why I hesitate for just a second. I don't believe in the Vikings. I think Kirk Cousins is garbage, but I would bench Johnson.
Yeah.
First or Austin?
I'm benching Deontay just to make sure that's clear, Cody.
I wish they had a penis emoji for the Ravens backfield. LOL. It's called an eggplant, dude.
But I think what Austin's getting at is like you don't get that the eggplant's like boom dominant. Like
so what's he describing?
This is what you need, Austin. They do have an emoji for that. It's like the little inchworm. That's what you need. You know that little worm. Right. Yeah,
you want a flaccid penis emoji.
Yeah,
you got to be more specific.
That's what I'm guessing. At least Austin means.
No,
I
can't
imagine he means the eggplant. That the backfield does not deserve.
Eggplant's tried and true. He needs a flex. Phil PPR. Elijah, who I blew my wad on. Waddle or Puke Crowder. I would go with Elijah.
I would too. Waddle was very intriguing. They were force feeding him, but now you got Will Fuller back, a decent Bills defense. I'll go for Elijah. You blew the wad. Let's see where the wad takes you.
Right. Let's see where we should make sure. RSJ. Let's see where the wad takes you.
Where does your wad take you? Yeah.
You blew your wad. Let's see where it takes you. Danny Jennings, Flex Fournette, Gainwell, Marquez Callaway, or James White. Man, I'd probably go White.
White's for sure the floor.
Maybe Callaway.
I'm leaning Callaway. I think Callaway's really going to blow up this week. But if you did
I think White has a higher floor, though.
Yeah, I'll go White there. What up, James Wyndham? Thanks for
James?
saying hello.
Noto 11. Yo, Wolf, hit you up in the DMs for my question, but I'll ask it here anyway. Mike Davis or Sermon? I'm definitely not starting Sermon. Are you, Wolf?
I wouldn't either, but I also don't want to start Mike Davis. He also has Gio Bernard. Like, is it Hamler? I would go Hamler over any of the
guys. Of those three, I'm going Mike Davis. I don't like it, but I'm going Mike Davis.
Mike Davis couldn't get it going against a mediocre run D for the Eagles.
Okay, but Trey Sermon was a healthy scratch.
I would probably go Sermon here, though, honestly.
Really? Are you serious?
Yeah. Yes, because Mike Davis is facing a very good Bucs run D. Sermon, you might get – you don't ever know what Shanahan's going to do. If he gets 10 carries, that's going to be more value than 20 for Davis against that Bucs run D. Davis isn't going to do shit.
Davis isn't going to get 20 carries.
No, I would honestly know – I want to know who you have in waivers. And sorry, I missed your DM. I think we do so many shows. You got to be able to ask here. And I'm glad you did. I'm glad you're here, brother. You're a true one. I would never miss you on purpose. We got a lot of cool like business sponsorships, things were in the works. So it's crazy busy at school. I don't mean to miss you. I didn't mean to ignore you. I'm happy you're here, brother.
James Wyndham, is that Gronk? Yeah, it is.
Getting ready to destroy the Bucs for the Falcons for 2
You
touchdowns.
You have no idea, right? Like as soon as we go off the air, I'm hopping on a plane. And I'm rejoining the squad, folks. I think this is such a good recurring bit. Obviously, but there has to be. You acknowledge there's got to be truth to it. I don't see it either. But like I've probably been called Gronk. It happens on the street. It happens when I go to the store.
I hate it.
It's probably happened to me like 60 times. At this point, it's happening.
Next question.
We
don't care.
People do care. That's why it's showing up in the comments, and you hate it. Bernard, we have like 15 minutes, by the way. Bernard Winkletoes. What's up, fellas? Worried about Saquon tonight? That's one of the best names we've had. Worried about Saquon tonight? Yeah. My only other option is Elijah Mitchell. Wow.
I'd go Mitchell. Mitchell.
Really?
I would go Mitchell over Saquon. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm benching Saquon.
You're somebody who just said you would start Trey Sermon over somebody. Wow.
Yeah, but I don't want – I think Sermon could outperform Mitchell, and Mitchell's still going to outperform Saquon. I'm nervous about Saquon. I need to see it before I trust Saquon. I'm not putting it in my lineup.
Cody Hoxie, he's going to be pissed when Sermon eventually takes over. I will be pissed when Sermon takes over, bud.
Yeah. What up, DiLorenzo? Good to see you, brother.
What's up? Flex Eli Mitchell or Javonte Williams. That's interesting. I would go Eli.
I'm going to go Eli there. Javonte's another one until I see it. I get the narrative they're probably going to kill the Jags and have some chance to burn their rookie and get him some time. I don't want to trust him if I don't have to.
Cody Hoxie, that's what I'm thinking and hoping. First, Austin, let's just hope it's not a Robinson situation that happened last year. It is possible. Yep, it's possible. Okay. The second take extra, the first one that you skipped, Browns or Pats defense this week.
I'm going to go Browns against the Texans. The Pats get the Jets. I'm going to go with the Pats.
Yeah, I'm going Pats. I got the Pats. I feel good about it. J-Rob Rojo No. Javonte Williams, James White, start 1 PPR. Well, you can say Rojo right away. James Robinson, no way. Javonte, no way. James White. It's James White.
It's James White. It's James White, especially in full PPR.
James White, Mitchell, Gordon, James Robinson, start 3. I think you drop James Robinson.
Yep, exactly. You're benching James Robinson there, second take extra.
Robert Sled, half-point PPR. What side? Melvin Gordon for Mike Williams. I like Mike Williams.
I like Mike Williams there. Yep.
Second take extra. A.J. Dillon or Gainwell? I got Aaron Jones. Gainwell.
I was like, who do you keep? Not necessarily start. Yeah, I'm gonna keep Dillon as the handcuff because if Aaron Jones goes down, you got yourself an RB1.
I misunderstood the question. Cody Hoxie, Saquon Barkley or Henderson in PPR. Isn't this crazy what's happened to Saquon Barkley here?
Yeah.
He was like the second coming of Christ like a year ago.
Yeah.
Saquon Barkley or Henderson in PPR and Chark or Julio. This is my wife's team. She's not happy with my suggestions on her draft.
Sorry, Cody. He's sleeping in the car later, it sounds like. I'm going to go Henderson. It looked like the clear-cut workhorse. We were wrong. I was lower on him last week. I thought Michelle was going to be higher involved, and he wasn't. Michelle had 1 carry. And McVay said after the game, that's if Henderson's running like that, we're going to keep rolling him. Trust me.
Henderson looked okay.
I looked very into that. And I thought Michelle might be the goal line guy. Nope, Henderson got the goal line carry. You're going to go Henderson here. He's got a good role. Barkley's so risky. Give me Henderson. And I'm going to go back to the Julio well. It's Julio fucking Jones. I know he sucked, but Seahawks, they're going to need their points. And they needed their points against Arizona, and that didn't help. But I do think Chark, so boom or bust. Like, so is Julio, I guess, but Julio should steady out. I'm going to go Julio.
I don't think we can gauge much about the Titans based on last
year.
I think we have to wait a week or two. And, if this is still going on in a week or two, then, I'd be like, man, Julio might be droppable for God's sakes. First or Austin smells like musty balls and spoiled milk. Wolf, that's the wolf scent.
That's the wolf scent. That's pretty scarily and sadly accurate. Yeah.
And specific also. Glenn G, Jared Cook or Robert Tonyan. I would go Tonyan.
I'd go Tonyan, Detroit. You can't bench somebody against Detroit. That's a blow-up spot.
Mike Schneider, I want A-Rob catching TDs this week. I do too. I like A-Rob.
And good thing is he's going to catch 2 this week against Cincy. Bank on it.
First or Austin, they will not bench Harris.
We'll find out. I'm nervous.
The New England backfield is it's like a real merry-go-round.
It's the story to watch this week. I'm telling you. I think not enough's being made of 2 fumbles happening in that backfield. It's the story of the week.
Do you remember the back when the Texans were platooning their quarterbacks like 4 or 5 years ago when we had started the podcast? And what did I come up with? It was like the carousel of crap.
Yep.
And it was like Brock Osweiler, TJ Yates, or whatever the hell his name is.
Horrendous.
Yeah, right. That's the Patriots running backs, except they don't all suck. Robert Moreno, Jones, Montgomery, Elliott, Jefferson, Kupp, AB. I need 5 of those guys. Who do I sit? Basically, I want to play AB, but not sure who to sit. Think he's going to go off again.
Yeah, I think he's going to go off again facing Atlanta. This is a tough one.
Yeah,
to me, it comes down to Elliott or Montgomery. Elliott might be the riskiest of all these guys. You're not benching Jones against Detroit. You're not benching Kupp at this point. You can't bench Jefferson.
And you want to start AB.
It comes down to Elliott or Montgomery. I think Elliott rebounds. I'd probably bench Montgomery, but Montgomery looked damn fucking good. So I probably bench Elliott. To me, he's the riskiest of all these guys. That's
I thought
scary.
When I saw this question, I was like, I'm going to say Elliott, and I'm going to blow everyone's mind, and that's the same one that you can't.
And we're in lockstep there. I guess, Kupp is like, he had that big game.
You can't bench Kupp. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Look, there is a legit connection between him and
Stafford.
Is. Like, they evidently are like best buddies, and you could see him looking for him again and again and again. He was the target hog on that team. Jesse Mendoza, not J.J. Taylor or Ramondre Stevenson. Yeah,
he fumbled his way into the doghouse. J.J. Taylor, I'm telling you guys.
Ryan Ramey, start Saquon or Javonte Williams this week in full PPR. Again, I just want to reiterate, isn't it amazing what's happened to Saquon Barkley? That this is even a question. This is the same thing as with Zeke at the end of last year when we were like, Zeke or like this steaming pile of dog shit. And you're like, I kind of like the dog shit.
Yeah, I kind of want the dog shit. I might go Saquon here, though.
I would go Saquon.
I'm pretty nervous about him so far, though. I don't feel good about either of those guys. But if I have to go one of them, I think I just go for Saquon for some Thursday night action and hope that he just scores. Because he is so damn good if he is good. Didn't look good last week, though. We'll see.
I agree with you. Todd Exotic. Hey, Todd. Hey, fellas, got offered Hopkins and Connor for Keenan and Mike Davis. Thoughts? Davis is my RB flex. I would definitely rather have the Hopkins-Connor side of that deal.
I would agree, right? Because Connor and Davis are both kind of in that like meh running back tier. So it comes down to Hopkins or Keenan. Give me like the potential best receiver in the game with Hopkins.
Jeff Marcus, Pittman, Ruggs, or Hardman.
Oh, none of them. KJ Hamler.
I was gonna say, come on, you gotta have somebody else.
If KJ Hamler's not an option, then I go Hardman. I just go for the better option. But I don't want Pittman against Jalen Ramsey. I don't want Ruggs. Ruggs sucks. So Hardman if you have to, but give me Hamler over all three.
We got like 8 minutes to go, Wolf. David Glass says, would you trade Swift for Cooper? I would way rather have Cooper personally.
I'd way rather have Cooper too. I love Swift's role. I love that team and like the way they use their running backs, but Cooper is a top 7 receiver for me.
I think you're right. Emery Dinsmore, have you spoke on Renfro yet? Looking like the only guy who can get open outside Waller in Las Vegas. You're right.
Renfro. Whoa, let me speak up about Renfro. Come on. Who gives a shit? It's Hunter Renfro. Waller's the only thing you care about with the Ravens.
Yeah, but it's true. He's probably there. He's going to get more targets than anyone else on the team except Waller.
Okay, it won't matter. It won't matter.
By the way, I'm just going to – Derek Carr looked pretty effing good.
He did.
Okay.
But no, I don't care about Renfro. Sorry, Emery. I don't know if you're trying to make him a thing, but he's not a thing. And I love you, Emery, but no.
Okay. But Derek Carr might be a thing, which would make him like the 16th best fantasy quarterback. Blue Crew, half-point PPR, 10-team. Pick 2 running backs, Barkley, Chase, Edmonds, Eli, Mitchell, or Swift. Thank you.
Swift's the lock. Swift is the lock here. And then I like Edmonds more. You might like Mitchell because you own him, Truth. And there is upside to Mitchell. There really is. Barkley, I'm not trusting tonight if I have those options.
He's your 4th guy out of that group.
Right. It's crazy, isn't it?
Oh, my God.
I know. I'm going to go Swift and Edmonds here.
Do you understand that Barkley was bought in my auction for $60?
Just a blown pick. Would you go Mitchell or Edmonds, though? Where do you rank on that one, Truth?
I think you called it. You actually know me pretty well. I think I would go Mitchell because I own him.
Yeah.
But it's close. Blue Crew, great advice last week. Helped me get the W.
Love it.
David Glass, Galladay tonight or Sutton? I would definitely go Sutton, although I understand the itch of wanting to play a guy tonight.
No, it's Sutton. It's not close for me.
Hex, full PPR. I was offered Najee Harris and CeeDee Lamb for Henderson and Ridley. Henderson and Najee are flexes.
Oh, I want CeeDee Lamb and Najee on that trade.
Yep.
Absolutely.
I consider Henderson the worst of the 4 people in this deal.
Yeah, I want the CeeDee Lamb Harris sides. What
Taylor
up,
Malone,
Taylor?
the goats. Thanks, bud.
You're the goat too, brother.
Mike Clay says you need to start Mike Williams, Truth. And that's because I said that I wasn't going to drop him for him. Honestly, Mike, I am probably going to start Williams this week, but I got great receivers. Honestly, T. Higgins is probably going to my bench, and he's a real good receiver.
Maybe. But Williams he's a great play this week.
I'm probably starting him, Mike. West Cup. Hey,
what up, brother?
Pick 2 in half-point PPR. Debo, Robert Woods, Antonio Brown needs ceiling. I would probably not pick Woods, but I really like Woods. No, wait. I would not pick Debo.
Shockingly, I have Woods the lowest of these 3. I couldn't bench Debo after last week. 69% air yards.
I forgot.
Yeah.
I think I'd probably bench Woods.
I bench Woods, and I don't like that because I love Robert Woods, but these guys are great, Wes. I'm benching Woods, especially if you need upside.
You really do look like Gronk. This really pisses the Wolf off, guys.
Oh, yeah, it does.
We have like 5 minutes to go. Wolf and Truth, 2 goats, 1 pod. I need 2 between Chase, DJ Moore, Devontae Smith, and Sutton. Full PPR.
Chase.
I like Chase and I like Sutton.
I like Chase, and I know I'm usually lower on Moore, but I think I like him here. It's close between Moore and Sutton, but I'm going to go Chase and Moore.
Start Saquon or Elijah Mitchell. I think we like
Mitchell.
Elijah.
Right? I know. And again, Saquon could have that blow up night and like look like Saquon of old. Great. I'm not expecting it, and I don't want it. I that's one I'm very comfortable letting him blow up on my bench and being happy that I now have him back versus putting him in and watching another 2.5. I'm not doing Saquon if I don't have to, and you don't have to with either.
Craig Sarno says, "Sup boys, Deontay, Debo, Robbie, and T. I need 2 half-point deep PPR."
I like T and Debo. I go T and Debo.
Agreed. Red Knight HM or Red Knight. Should I trade Russell Wilson and Cooper Kupp for Tannehill and Diggs? I get Tannehill and Diggs. I actually like the other side of it better.
Yeah, I kind of prefer Russ and Coop. I think Russ could really maintain that all year.
Katie Jiggs. Unfortunate loss of Fitzmagic this week. Need a fill-in. He was like your guy. You were like, you got to get Fitzmagic.
I know.
Nothing else matters. While I wait for Lance to start, 2 QB league. How you feeling about Heineke tonight? Assuming he's a better option than the other guys on the wire, Dalton, Wentz, Jimmy G, and Jones. I do think he's probably a better option than I don't know, Jimmy G. Maybe I don't know.
I would go Heineke tonight. Roll the dice. Get some Thursday night excitement jigs. Let's go, Katie. I would go Heineke. Honestly, I have him higher than all of these guys in my rankings.
Taylor Malone, I got Mitchell for $20 and I traded him and Corey Davis for Gibson. LMFAO, best $20 ever spent. Agreed. Best $20 ever spent. I can't believe what idiots you've got in your leagues. If you have an opening in your league next year, let me know. Jeff Hempin, Elijah Mitchell, Tyson Williams, or Tyler Boyd in flex.
I would go Eli. I'd go Eli. The Ravens have talked about this four-headed nightmare, and I don't trust Boyd right now, so give me Eli.
Agree. Ryan Garral, I traded Joe Mixon and Deebo Samuel for Calvin Ridley and Cooper Kupp today. Who won the trade? I think you won the trade.
I don't think so.
You like Mixon and Deebo better than Calvin and Kupp?
I do because
hold on. Shit.
30-something touches. Like the workhorse, Deebo looked as good as he did. Ridley looked as bad as he did. Like
I thought we were looking at all receivers, and then I realized Mixon's
just a bell
Sorry.
cow. Yeah.
I agree with you, Wolf. Theo Carmone.
I am the truth now.
You are the truth, right? McCaffrey's the truth. McLaurin, Claypool, or AB? AB.
I like AB there, and I need to change my rankings before this winds down. So as we answer questions, I'm going to be moving McLaurin below AB there.
Omar F. Full PPR. I need two between Darrell Henderson, Damian Harris, Antonio Brown, and Deebo.
I'm going to go AB and Deebo.
Me too.
Oh, AB and Deebo.
Hillary. Oh, my God. Two quarterbacks is a lot to think about. Yeah, it is. It breaks my brain.
Yeah.
Stephen McDougall, PPR Flex, Will Fuller, Miles Gaskin, Marquez Callaway, Tyler Boyd, Sterling Shepard. I love the content, man. Thanks, bud.
Thank you. Appreciate that. And anybody that's new to the content, likes, subscriptions, hit the bell so you know when we're live. Out of this group, I'll probably go Gaskin, just the steadiest running back value. But if you wanted to go one of the receivers, roll those dice on Callaway. Either way, don't worry about Shepard. I know he had a big game. I'm not playing him, but I would go Gaskin or Callaway there.
I agree with that assessment. Tom Mulvihill, bench Holiday and Barkley tonight? It depends what your options are, man.
Who's Holiday? Probably Galladay. And I'd bench both of them.
Bench Holiday, definitely. Berkey, should I start Saquon or Miles Sanders?
Sanders. Easily Sanders for me.
Holden Primus, JT for Monty. Who won?
I want JT there. Give me Taylor all day.
Biani, wide receiver 3, Jacoby Myers against New York Jets or Devontae Smith against the 49ers?
I'm going to go Myers. I think Myers blows it up this week. I've always been a big Myers guy. But yeah, I'm going to go Jacoby there this week.
Got a couple minutes left, guys. Mitch Chavez lineup is now Josh Allen, Najee, Carson, Adams, Land, Higbee, flexing Edmonds. Not terrible.
That's a pretty good lineup right there.
Steve McDougall, PPR flex, Fuller, Gus. We already did that one. Mitch, Diggs is wide receiver 2 as well. Lamb, wide receiver 3.
We don't need your lineup anymore, Mitch.
Getting better all the time, Mitch. Half point PPR. I need one. Miles Sanders, Elijah Mitchell. Hey, Sarah, Javonte Williams or Mike Davis?
It's Miles Sanders. It's Miles Sanders.
Yeah. SJ, Kenny G or the sax player or Tyson Williams at flex.
I'm going to go Tyson there. I just don't trust Kenny Galladay right now, so give me Tyson.
Unless you're talking about the sax player, at which point start him. Flex Higgins or Callaway. This is
I'm going to go Higgins for sure over Callaway. I know I'm higher on Callaway this week, but give me him. I'm in Baltimore trying out for running back. I love you, Denny. You're the best.
Fingers crossed, Denny. David says, is it worth dropping one of these to get Christian Kirk, Cole Beasley, McCole Hardman, or Laviska Shenault?
Hardman is definitely worth dropping. I'm just going to rip truth. You ready? I'm just going to give the answers as fast as I can. Mateo, great to see you, brother. Jamal, Hunt, Robinson, Mike Davis, Gronk, Landry. I'm going Gronk. Give me Gronk in that flex, baby. Devonta or Corey Davis? Corey Davis. No doubt, Jaden. Yeah, Davis. We're both in agreement. Wolf, what's going on? Of course I know it's Michelson. Great. Who do you start, Herbert or Hurts? I'm going Herbert. I love Hurts, but give me Herbert against Dallas, no doubt. Sanders, Ronald Jones, Melvin Gordon.
Not Jones.
Yeah, you're not playing Jones there. I'm in agreement. Brandon Cooks, Corey Davis, Devontae Smith. I'm going to go Corey Davis over those other options. Cooks is close, but give me Corey Davis. I love Smith too, but give me Corey Davis. Green Bay or Buffalo? Buffalo. Nah, Green Bay. Green Bay's facing Detroit. Give me Buffalo. Fuck that one, Tunes. Who to put in wide receiver? Cooks, you already asked that one. I'm going Corey Davis. Saquon or Jamal Williams? Probably Jamal Williams is.
Oh, God.
You guys are the shit. Thank you. My bad. No, Mitch, you're the best. You can say whatever the hell you want. I was just giving you shit. Hurts, Mitch, that is all. Thanks, brothers. Cheers. That's all of it. It's 8:20. We got through them all. Truth. We made it through a great mailbag, even though we had a slow start because they didn't get notifications. Love that everybody still turned out. You guys still found us. You knew my musk of what was it? What was it that first or
spoiled milk was part of it.
spoiled milk and like rotten balls or something of that nature, something disgusting. But I'm glad you guys were here. It was a blast. Thank you guys so much. Best of luck in everything you need. And in a world full of fantasy sheep, guys, be the wolf. Later.
Not later, guys.
This is a good comment right here. Jamal over Saquon. Like that is tough. Jamal.
Dude, it's what a